Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nayri, also known as Wedding Fashion Expert. This week, we are talking about how to identify what size to order for your wedding dress. Before we dive into this week's topic, please be sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, drop me a line below, let me know if there is a particular video topic you'd like me to create a video on. I am here for you, guiding you along the way, leading up to your special day. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome. I am so honored that you have found me. I am, of course, a wedding fashion expert, stylist, buyer, wears so many different hats at LOVELLA Bridal, located in Los Angeles, California. For daily content, be sure to follow us on Instagram at LOVELLA Bridal, at LOVELLA Plus, and at Wedding Fashion Expert. Don't forget to hit that follow button on TikTok at LOVELLA Bridal and at Wedding Fashion Expert as well. This topic was inspired by so many brides that I've been working with lately. I have been taking their measurements, we're deciding on the size of their dress. I thought that this would be super valuable to talk about because so many of my brides' thought process is so similar that if I created a video on it, I thought that it could help ease some of those burning questions or thoughts so that when it comes time to pick your sizing, you're mentally prepared on how this works and you're ready to roll with this information at hand. First things first, I want to identify that the size of the dress does not determine the size that you are in regular clothing. So for example, I wear a size 4 in street clothing, and in bridal, I'm anywhere from an 8 to a size 12, depending on the designer size chart. So I either fall into their 8, 10, or 12. Most of the times I fall into the 10 to 12 size. Very rarely do I fall into a size 8 in bridal, and yet I am a size 4 in regular clothing. So this can be really confusing and super alarming when you see these numbers. You might panic and go, I've never been in that size before. Why am I being aligned with that sizing? I just want you to know to please don't pay attention to the number that identifies what size you are. Essentially, the way that these dresses are ordered is we take your bust, your waist, and the waist measurement is right where you, I'm gonna stand up for a moment, is where you bend over. That crease is where your waist measurement is taken. It's where you bend over, right where that crease is. It's not below the belly button, it's right above it. So where you bend over and crease to the side, that's where the waist measurement is. And then we take the hip measurement, which is the widest middle part of your bum. I have the diagram there for you to be able to identify the bust, the waist, and the hip area. So we take those measurements. Based on those measurements, it lines you up to the size chart. You are encouraged to order based on your largest measurement. So for example, my hip measurement is my largest measurement. So I'm always ordering my clothing to accommodate the hips, and then I would take in the bust and the waist, and that goes for the wedding dress as well. Now, for my girlies that are trying to lose weight or trying to tone up or all the things, I am not encouraging weight loss. I am not encouraging you to have the need to tone up, but that is just what I hear day in and day out. Oftentimes, brides want to order a smaller size than they line up in to have that as a goal to get their body to fit in that dress. I do not recommend this. I highly discourage it for so many reasons. Here's the deal. I have been doing this for over a decade, and I have seen almost everything when it comes to measurements. I am a believer that we haven't seen it all, and there's always new things to learn, but truly I have seen so many components of this, enough to where I can tell you, please don't do this for a number of reasons. Number one being, if you are really going to be hitting that gym, oftentimes, especially if you're buying a fitted dress, if you're doing squats, if you're walking and running and doing things that are toning up your legs and glutes, you actually grow because you're gaining muscle mass, right? So that muscle mass has a growing measurement. I actually typically range by about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in my hip measurement, depending on how much weights I'm doing. Am I doing squats? Am I doing box jumps? What's in my regimen of working out right now that's growing muscle? I may visually appear more lean, but my measurement actually grows. I may on the scale be lighter, which doesn't work for me because I don't believe in ever looking on a scale, because I just want to feel great in my clothes, and that's what I go based off of. And I encourage everyone around me to do the same. Go with what feels good versus the number on a scale. That being said, if you are ordering a smaller size, but yet your hip is going to grow in measurement from where you are today, going with a smaller size doesn't make any sense. It's not, I highly discourage it. And oftentimes, if you are actually going to be doing a lot of squats and you want to grow more booty, to show off booty in your dress, you actually want to go with a size up. These dresses, depending on the dress that you purchase, have very little room to let out. So when I see this, that your thighs and your hip measurement actually grows, the dresses are too small and there isn't enough material to let out. That can be extremely problematic. Another thing that people try to do is get a dress with certain measurements to make sure their body are those measurements so that they pay less in alterations. I also discourage this because the designer size chart and the dress, the measurements vary ever so slightly. Sometimes dresses come a little bit bigger than what was on that size selected on the size chart, or it's a little bit smaller than the measurements on the size chart. So there is a little bit of wiggle room on either end. Most stores know which designers come a little bit bigger and which designers come a little bit smaller. But even then, when we know that, certain dress models skew differently. So you really want to go a little bit on the bigger side versus the smaller side, just in case. Another thing that I often see is that so many brides actually gain weight under stress than lose weight. I think that the common misconception is that under stress, people stop eating and lose weight as you're planning a wedding, but more brides actually gain weight because they stress eat, or they're eating unhealthy because they need fast food because they're so busy, and it's just easier to eat unhealthy when you're really, really busy, right? It makes it super easy to go through that drive-through. So I find that people actually gain weight instead of lose weight. And another thing is that life can happen. There can be stressors that maybe you don't get to the gym as much as you want to, or maybe things just show up and you didn't have the time, whatever it may be. But please don't put that added pressure on yourself of ordering a smaller size, not fitting into it, and then now you have a dress that doesn't fit you. But yet you did it as a goal, or you did it to save money on alterations. It ends up costing you more. So please do yourself a favor and do not do this. I thought it would be really valuable to show you a set of measurements and look at a designer size chart and just see where the sizing falls. The measurements that we're going to be looking at is a 35.5-inch bust, 26-inch waist, 39-inch hip. If we look at this designer size chart, a 35.5-inch bust is between a size 8 and 10. A 26-inch waist falls at a size 8. A 39-inch hip would go with a size 10, where on the size chart is a 39.5-inch hip. So for the hip measurement, this individual would be ordering a size 10. It would not make sense to go with a size 8 and try to get the hip measurement to a size 37.5. This is a scenario that brides tell me they are going to do so that they would pay less in alterations. That is not realistic. It's highly, highly discouraged. However, if the dress was a ball gown, in that case, I would be totally fine with these measurements ordering a size 8 because the bust and the waist are what really matter. However, there is a condition to this. If it is some level of a ball gown, if the lining is more of what we consider an A-line versus a ball gown that goes out more, if the lining is very narrow, then you want to go with the size 10 because the hip measurement needs to fit in that narrow lining. I have made that mistake before when encouraging a bride to go with the smaller size to fit the body thinking that the hips would be okay, and we had to add a panel in the lining to accommodate the hip measurement. So be very, very mindful and careful and strategic when, as a stylist, if you're a stylist tuning in, when you are guiding your clients on what size to order. And if you are a bride, I am giving you intel on how to properly do this. Maybe you're working with someone who's new to this designer size chart that they're showing you and they don't know. So you have the knowledge from me that can help guide you in what size to order. All in all, I'm a size 4, as I mentioned, in regular clothing. On average, I'm ordering a size 10 or a 12 in bridal, depending on the size chart. So, and that is because of my hip measurement. My bust and my waist fall into a smaller size. Call it what it is. I'm not going to be able to lose that hip measurement. If anything, I'm always working out, doing weight, and I ride horses. So I'm always using my legs and glutes. So there's no way for me to shrink it. And there's no point in torturing myself in doing so when I could just have that taken care of in alterations. I hope that this gave you more clarity, really giving you an example of concrete measurements and determining how it would fall on a size chart. I just felt that this would add so much clarity to this process and a little bit more understanding of what this all looks like for you. If you have any questions on anything discussed in this video or anything in general, drop me a comment below. I am so happy and honored and privileged to be a part of this journey with you and help you through this process. For more videos and tips like these, please be sure to tune in every Wednesday, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I will see you in next week's video.